Good morning everyone. So this will be our first session of Indian Polity classes. Today what we will be discussing in this class is I will give you a brief outline of the syllabus in GS paper 2, especially pertaining to polity, Indian polity, right? Indian polity is part of your general studies paper 2, and in that we'll discuss the syllabus of polity and we'll also try and discuss the questions which have appeared in the UPSC prelims 2024, especially the polity questions. Okay, I hope all of you have gone through the UPSC question paper, the prelims question paper. Have you? No, you have not? You must be curious to go through the questions of the examination that you're going to give, right? At least today go back, take a look at the syllabus of UPSC CSC 2024 and also the prelims question paper of 2024, so that you get an idea as to the standard of the examination and the amount of time and effort that you have to put in for preparing for this examination, right? You're following so far? Okay. So today first we'll discuss the syllabus. Syllabus of polity. I hope all of you know the pattern of the examination by now. Do you? You have 3 stages of the examination. You have your prelims, you have mains, and you have your interview. In prelims you have objective questions. In mains you have subjective, that is you have to write descriptive answers in the examination, and finally you have a personality test, right? Now the first stage, the prelims, is the most crucial stage, because unless you clear that examination you will not be able to go to the next stage of the exam, right? You will not be able to give your mains examination, and if you fail in the mains examination or in the interview, you will again have to start from the prelims examination, right? And since prelims examination is objective, you have to be extremely careful, because there is a minimum cutoff mark. Unless you clear that cutoff mark, you will not be able to clear prelims examination. You have 200 marks in prelims examination and 100 questions, and you have 2 hours to give that exam, right? So time is of the essence, and you have 2 papers, that is your general studies paper and your CSAT paper, right? In your prelims examination, you have a general studies paper which carries 200 marks, and you have a CSAT paper. CSAT paper is only a qualifying paper, right? And general studies paper will decide whether you are going to clear the examination or not, right? And you have a cutoff mark for this general studies paper, and if you are above the cutoff mark, you will be able to give your mains exam, okay? Now, there are 100 questions in your general studies paper of prelims examination, and out of these 100 questions, if you had gone through the prelims question paper of 2024, you would have noticed that 17 to 18 questions are from polity, right? 17 to 18 questions are from polity. Generally, since the paper was relatively easy, I am expecting the cutoff to go a bit high. It may be on the higher side, around 95 to 100, but we can never predict cutoffs, right? Now, out of these 17 questions, if you had prepared seriously for this examination, you would have answered all the questions correctly. I am not joking here. You would have answered all the 17 questions correctly if you had read the Lakshmikant book or the basic sources properly. If you had gone through class notes and classes properly, you would have answered all the 17 questions correctly, right? So this is no joke. You would have scored 34 marks just out of polity. And if, let us say, 100 is the cutoff, the remaining marks you would have scored from other subjects, right? It would have made your job much easy to clear prelims examination if you had done polity very well, right? So today you please go back and look at the questions. The questions were all basic questions. Please do not get worried if you are unable to answer questions, because you have not yet prepared for the exam, right? But once you are done with this course, I am sure, very sure, that you would be able to answer all the 17 questions, right? If you had gone through, or if you had attended my previous batch classes, you would have noticed that all the questions were covered in the class. There was not even a single question which was not covered. All the questions were covered in the class, right? So please pay close attention to the classes. Please make notes, right? But don't neglect what I am teaching in the class in the hurry-burry of making notes. Don't neglect my class. Listen to the class intently and make some short notes, and then I'll give you some sources which you will have to follow for polity, right? There are very few sources that you will have to follow. I'll give you those sources also today, and if you attend the classes, go through that sources and revise the syllabus and the sources again and again, then you will be able to answer all these questions very easily, right? Most of the questions were of easy to medium category, easy to medium. Right? There were no difficult questions this time, but do not expect the same level of questions next year, right? We may never know how UPSC is going to frame the prelims question paper. It might be easy this year, it may be difficult next year, right? So you have to be thorough in your preparation. You cannot expect an easy paper and go to the exam, right? What you must expect is the most difficult paper, okay? Because if you go through the cutoff marks of 2023, the cutoffs were around 70. Right? This time it may be higher, but in 2023 cutoffs were around 70. Why? Because the paper was difficult, including the CSAT paper. Both the papers were difficult. Right? This time it may be easy, but next time it may become difficult again. Right? So please do not expect an easy paper and go into the examination hall. You must give difficult questions in your mock test, then it will become easier on the day of the examination. Right? You will be able to tackle both easy and difficult questions. Okay? And another thing that you must remember is that you must have the syllabus of every paper on the tip of your hands. You must be able to easily recollect the syllabus of every single paper in your UPSC examination, right? Syllabus must be on the tip of your hands. You must have very limited resources for each and every subject. The respective subject faculty will tell you which sources you should follow for each subject. I will tell you the sources for polity, other faculty will tell you the sources for other subjects, right? And please stick to those sources. Don't go around and keep on buying new books, because you have very limited time. You have 1 year to prepare for this examination. In this 1 year, you must not only cover the syllabus once, you must also revise each and every book again and again at least 3 or 4 times, right? So if you have 100 books to read, you may not be able to cover all those books or revise all those books. Okay, so if I tell you some sources, please stick to those sources and keep revising them again and again. As soon as the class is done, you must go back home and you must read the book and revise the book again and again. Okay, so this is what you should do going forward. You will have a class, one topic will be covered, you will go back, finish that topic in the book, revise the topic again, and please go through previous year questions from that particular topic and try to answer those questions. Are you following? First is class, next is the book that I am going to suggest to you, revise the book and then go through previous year questions from that particular topic, try to answer those questions, right? So this will slowly build your confidence in answering prelims questions. Are you following? Right? Mains is only the next stage of the examination. Unless you have a strong grasp over the syllabus and unless you have revised the entire syllabus once, you will not be able to easily answer mains questions. So please don't get disheartened even if you read a mains question and if you are not able to understand the question, don't get disheartened, because mains answer writing practice is going to take time. Right? But prelims is not that difficult. All of you will be able to understand an objective question and the 4 options given in the question, right? So you must, as soon as possible, try to start prelims answering. After the syllabus is done, you can start your mains answer writing practice. Okay? So this is the pattern that we are going to follow: classes, previous year, questions, and the sources which I am going to tell you. Okay? Now let us get into the syllabus of polity. I'll only give you a brief outline now. You don't have to make notes today. I'll just try to explain to you what exactly is polity and what exactly are we going to discuss in the classes going forward. Okay? Now, Once we start our regular classes, once we start discussing each and every single topic, this syllabus will become more and more clear to you, right? Today we'll only briefly outline the syllabus of Indian polity. Okay. Now the first important topic in GS paper 2 is Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution, its historical underpinnings and the evolution of Indian Constitution. Right? So what exactly does this topic mean? What exactly are we going to discuss? All of you know that India has a constitution, right? All of you know that India has a constitution, it has some articles, some parts which we'll discuss later. But how exactly did the Indian constitution come into existence? It did not exist during Mughal period, it did not exist during medieval periods, or it did not exist during ancient Indian history, right? It only started in one particular year, right? It only came into existence in 1950. Right? So what happened till 1950? How did Indian constitution came into existence? Right? So we'll be discussing the history of Indian constitution and how it came into existence in the first place. What exactly is in it will be the later part of the syllabus. But how did it come into existence? What were the struggles which Indian freedom fighters had to wage for drafting the constitution or for getting the right to draft a constitution? Right? What are the important historical events which have eventually led to the Indian constitution? Right? This is the first topic that we are going to discuss. Okay? Historical underpinnings and the evolution of Indian constitution, and we'll also discuss the salient features of Indian constitution. What are the important features of Indian constitution? Right? Every constitution has certain features, right? Some may be written constitutions, some may be unwritten constitutions, right? Some may be federal constitutions, some may be unitary constitutions, right? Every constitution has certain features, certain qualities. Right? So we will be discussing the features or the qualities of Indian constitution. Are you following? Right? First is the history of Indian constitution. How did it come into existence? Till 1950 we will discuss the historical events which have led to Indian constitution, and then we will discuss the qualities of Indian constitution. What are the qualities or the features of Indian constitution? Right? And we'll also try to compare Indian constitution with other major constitutions in the world. Right? For example, you have United States. United States has a constitution of its own. You have France, you have United Kingdom. Right? Every country has a constitution of its own. Whether it is written constitution or an unwritten constitution is a separate topic, which you will understand later. But every major democratic country in this world has a constitution of its own, right? And you should be able to compare the features of different constitutions. Why? Because that is part of your syllabus. Comparative analysis of the constitutions of different countries is part of your UPSC syllabus. So we'll try to cover that also, right? So what did we discuss so far? The first topic is Indian constitution. How did it come into existence? What are the features of Indian constitution? How is it different from other constitutions in the world? How is it different from US constitution? How is it different from UK constitution? How is it different from French constitution? Right? All this comparative analysis also will be done in the class. Okay. Now the second topic. The second topic is various organs of the state. Right? So we'll try to understand the meaning of the term state. What exactly is state? Now this particular word is different from our state government. All of us know what state government is, right? We know what central government is, we know what state government is. But the term that I have mentioned here, the word state or the term organs of the state, is different from your state government and central government. So we'll first try to understand the definition of the term state. And we'll also try to understand what are the organs of the state. You have human body. Human body has various organs, right? For proper functioning of the body, all the organs must function properly, right? Similarly, state also has certain organs, and all these organs must function properly in a coordinated manner for the state itself to function efficiently, right? So don't worry now, I am not going to discuss the definition of the state today. I am only trying to explain the syllabus to you, right? So we'll try to understand the meaning of the term state. We'll try to understand various organs of the state, right? You have executive, you have legislature, you have judiciary. These are three important organs of the state, right? So the definition of the state and the organs of the state, right? Now since you have three organs, each organ must have certain powers and functions, right? You have eyes. What are eyes for? For seeing, right? You have ears. What are ears for? Listening, right? Now similarly you have various organs of the state, and each organ has certain functions, and each organ is given certain powers by the constitution. Are you following? Just as you have human body with various organs and each organ has some specific functions, you have state which has three organs and each organ is given some specific functions and powers. Are you following? Judiciary has certain functions, legislature has certain functions, executive has certain functions. What exactly are those functions is what we will be discussing in the class. What exactly does judiciary do? What exactly does legislature do? What exactly does executive do? What are the functions of legislature, executive and judiciary? What are the powers of legislature, executive and judiciary? Right? This is the next important component of your UPSC syllabus in polity. The state and the organs of the state, what are the functions of each and every organ, and what are the powers of each and every organ. Are you following? Now since you have three organs, there may be a chance for conflict between these organs also. Yes or no?
Judiciary is separate body, independent.
Every body is independent body, and every body also must coordinate with each other in functioning. Yes or no? Judiciary cannot completely be independent, or independent in the sense every organ of the state has certain powers and functions and it is independent in that domain. Are you following? Why? Because for example, if you take judges of Supreme Court are appointed by President of India who is part of executive, right? Your hands cannot completely function independently of your body, isn't it? Your eyes cannot function completely independent of your body, right? So every organ of the state, yes, has some specific functions of its own, but they cannot be completely independent of each other, right? They are interdependent, but they are also independent in their domain. This is a deeper analysis which we will do later, don't worry now, right? Just a brief explanation, state and its organs. It has the organs of the state have their own functions and they also have their own powers, right? Now, there may be a chance that one organ of the state has conflict with another organ of the state. Yes or no? For example, you have two siblings in your house, they keep fighting with each other or not, right? Now, here powers are involved. There may be a chance that there may be conflict between different organs of the state for these powers. One organ of the state may claim that it has more powers than the other, or it may be encroaching on the powers of the other organ of the state. That is, it may be trying to capture the powers of another organ of the state, right? Since you have three organs of the state, there may be a chance that there may be conflict between these three organs. We will try to understand the reasons behind these conflicts. What are the reasons why judiciary is fighting, or let us say has a conflict with the legislature or has conflict with executive? This is not a new thing. Since independence, different organs of the state have been in conflict with each other. For example, judiciary and executive have always been in conflict with each other. If you take 1970s, 1960s, judiciary and executive have been in conflict with each other. Legislature and executive also have conflict with each other? What are the reasons for this conflict? Right? We'll try to understand this. And there may also be conflict between central and state governments, which all of us know and keep hearing in the news about different types of issues which the state government has with central government. We'll also try to understand that. Okay? And the next part of the same topic is we'll try to understand whether these three organs of the state are functioning effectively or properly or not. Right? For example, judiciary has the power to decide on cases. It has the power to listen to cases, interpret the constitution, decide on cases. Is it doing its job effectively or not? Parliament is supposed to make laws, right? Now, is it doing its job properly or not? Now, government of India or the state government is supposed to govern, right? Is it doing its job properly or not? If it is not doing its job properly, why is it not doing its job properly? What are the factors due to which it is unable to function properly? You should do this analysis properly because you will get questions from this in your mains examination. Right? Mains examination is an analysis oriented examination. It is not a simple objective question and you will have to choose one of the 4 options. Right? You will have to do analysis in your mains answers, which is why we are going to discuss each and every organ of the state, what are the functions. If these are the functions of that particular organ, are these functions being properly conducted or not? Is it doing its job properly or not? If it is not doing its job properly, what are the reasons? Once we analyze the reasons, we will also try to discuss the solutions to these problems. Are you following? Are you following the train of thought? First, you have different organs of the state. Okay. Now, these organs of the state have specific functions and powers given by the Constitution. The Constitution has given each and every organ of the state certain functions and powers. We'll try to analyze whether each organ of the state is doing its job properly or not. Okay. If it is not doing its job properly or effectively, what are the reasons for it? Okay. Now, once we analyze the reasons, we'll also try to look at some solutions to solve these problems. Right. Now, these solutions are not the ones that we are going to sit and discuss in the class or the ones that we sit and discuss at a chai shop, right? We are not experts in this particular topic, right? So, what do we have to do in our mains answers? We'll have to take help from the expert committees and commissions which have been constituted in the independent India by the government of India, right? Various committees and commissions would have been constituted to discuss about these problems and to suggest solutions for these problems. Yes or no? Whenever you see that there is a problem in the government, the first response of the government would be to constitute a committee or a commission. Yes? For example, there is Telangana issue. What happened to resolve the problem of Telangana? Various committees and commissions were constituted. Right? Similarly, to resolve problems between different organs of the state or to improve the functioning of each and every organ of the state, various committees and commissions would have been constituted. Right? Now, we have to take help from the recommendations made by these committees and commissions to come up with solutions to these problems. It cannot be the solutions that we sit and discuss among us friends. Right? Which is why you will have to quote these committees and commissions in your mains answers. Following? Yes, understood so far? Now, this is the pattern that we are going to follow for each and every single topic, right? First is Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings, evolution. We'll try to compare constitutions of different parts of the world. And then second is state and different organs of the state. What are their powers and functions? Are they functioning properly or not? If not, what are the reasons? And then solutions, right? Then the next topic is federal system. All of you know that India has a federal system, right? You have central government, state government, you have parliament, you have state legislature, you have Supreme Court, you have High Court. All of us know that we have a federal system. But what exactly is federalism? How is it different from unitary form of government? Which countries have federal form of government? Which countries have unitary form of government? How are they different from each other? Right? Now, since India has federal form of government, what are the features of a federal system? What are the features of a unitary system? Why do we call India a federal country? Right? What is the evidence to support the argument that India is a federal country? Right? And you would have heard about the term called quasi-federal. All of us have heard. But not many of us know what exactly the term means. Yes or no? Right? So, we will try to discuss the meaning of the term quasi-federal and why do various experts say that India is not a purely federal country, it is a quasi-federal country. Okay? And then, once we discuss all these basics about federalism, we will also try to understand whether the federal system in this country is functioning properly or not. Right? Once we understand the basics of federalism, we'll then analyze the federal system in India. Is it functioning properly or not? Why are there frequent conflicts between the union and the states? Right? You would see every day in the news that some state government or the other is fighting for the center either for funds or for some other reason. Right? So, what exactly is causing all these conflicts between union and various states or the constituents of Indian Federation? Why are they fighting with each other? What are the conflicts? What are the reasons for this conflict? Right? Now, again, once we try and understand the reasons behind the conflict between union and states, we will also try and suggest some solutions. Right? The same pattern that we have followed for the organs of the state, we are going to follow for every other topic in the polity syllabus. Basics, once we understand the basics, we will try to do analysis. Once we do analysis, we will find out that there are certain problems. Now, in order to solve these problems, we have to give some solutions. These are not our solutions, we will take the recommendations of expert committees and commissions in order to suggest solutions to these problems. Understood? So, the first thing that you have to do is understand basics. What is the meaning of the state? What are various organs of the state? What are the functions of each and every organ of the state? What is federalism? What are the features of a federal country? What are the features of a unitary country? All these are basics. Once you understand the basics, you will come into the analysis part. Is it functioning properly or not? Is it functioning effectively or not? If it is not functioning effectively, if there are certain conflicts, if there are certain problems, what are the reasons for these problems and what are your solutions for it? This is how you are going to write your mains answers also in the same pattern. You will give an introduction, in the body of your answer you will do analysis and you will also suggest some solutions, and in the conclusion you will write what to do going forward. Yes, there is a problem. What is a solution for it? What to do going forward is what you will write in your conclusion. In the same pattern, we will be conducting our classes also. First, we will try to understand the basics, then we will do analysis, and then finally, we will also try to suggest some solutions to these problems. Are you following? Clear so far? Okay. So, the first topic, Indian Constitution, second is organs of the state, third is federalism. Within federalism, we will discuss the powers of union government, powers of state government. We will also try to discuss about union legislature, that is your parliament. We will discuss about state legislature, that is your state legislative assembly. Okay. Then we will discuss about Supreme Court. We will also discuss about High Court. Are you following? What are the powers of each and every organ of the state? Understood so far? Any doubts? Am I going too fast? You are able to keep up with me? Okay. Now, once we discuss all this, the next important component of your polity syllabus is various constitutional, statutory and non-statutory bodies. Now, these may be big terms to you now, but This is one of the easiest part of the syllabus, right? Constitutional bodies, statutory bodies and non-statutory bodies. What exactly is the meaning of a constitutional body? What exactly is the meaning of a statutory body? And what is a non-statutory body? All of you would have definitely heard about Election Commission of India. You would have heard about CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Let's take a brief 2 minutes break and then we'll finish the rest of the syllabus and then we'll discuss the questions in UPSC Prelims 2024. This is what we have discussed so far, right? Then the next important topic is constitutional, statutory and non-statutory bodies. Okay, you've heard about Election Commission of India, you've heard about Comptroller and Auditor General of India, CAG. If not Comptroller and Auditor General, you would have definitely heard about the term CAG, right? Finance Commission. Yes? Oh, that's great. It's not a popular body like Election Commission, right? All of us would have heard about Election Commission, but not many of us would have heard about Finance Commission, especially if you're a science student. Yes. And of course, you would have definitely heard about UPSC, right? You have heard about State Public Service Commission, National Human Rights Commission. You would have heard about Central Information Commission, right? These are all various constitutional bodies, statutory bodies and non-statutory bodies. What exactly is the difference between them? We'll discuss later, right? These different bodies that we have in India, Election Commission, CAG, Finance Commission, UPSC, State Public Service Commission, National Human Rights Commission, Central Information Commission, CBI, Central Vigilance Commission, right? And Lokpal, Lokayuktas. These are all different types of bodies that we have in India, right? Now, in this part of the syllabus, we'll try to understand the meaning of the term constitutional bodies, the meaning of the term statutory bodies, meaning of the term non-statutory bodies or an executive body. We'll try to understand the functions of these bodies. What exactly do they do? What does Election Commission, what are the functions of Election Commission of India? What are the functions or the duties of CAG? What are the functions of Finance Commission? What does UPSC do? Right? So, the functions of all these commissions or bodies is what we'll discuss in this part of the syllabus. We'll also try to understand if these bodies are functioning properly or not. You would have heard in news that there is a lot of criticism against bodies such as CBI, ED and various other bodies including the Election Commission of India, right? There is criticism in the way that they are functioning. But you cannot give your answers like a politician or you cannot simply level allegations in your UPSC answers. You must do an objective analysis of the way in which these bodies are functioning. Are they going wrong somewhere? What are the problems or the challenges all these bodies are facing? Right? Now, once you understand where they are going wrong, once you understand the problems which these bodies are facing, the challenges which they are facing in doing their job effectively, we'll also try to give some solutions to these problems. Same thing again, right? What are the different constitutional, statutory and non-statutory bodies? What are their functions? Are they performing these functions effectively or not? What are the challenges which they are facing in doing their job properly? And then we'll try to suggest some solutions to these problems. Right? If, for example, you take Election Commission of India, what is the job of Election Commission of India? One thing that we all know is that they conduct elections. Right? They conduct elections to Lok Sabha as well as your state legislative assembly elections, including some other elections which we'll discuss later. No, not local bodies. Election Commission of India does not conduct elections to local bodies. There is a separate body called State Election Commission which conducts elections to local bodies. Right? So, Election Commission of India has the job of conducting some elections. Right? Now, the next thing that you have to know is it doing this particular job properly? Is it conducting elections properly or not? You cannot simply write in your answers that no, Election Commission of India is not doing its job effectively. If you are making that statement, you should give evidence to that statement. Right? So these are the problems that we have seen in the recent elections or in 16th Lok Sabha or in 17th Lok Sabha. These are the challenges which the Election Commission of India is facing. It is not doing its job effectively for so and so reasons. Now these reasons are analyzed by so and so committee or commission, and it has given these recommendations. If we implement these recommendations, Election Commission of India will be able to improve its way of functioning. This is how you will answer every question, with evidence and with recommendations of major committees and commissions. Following? Yes? Okay. So this is the next part of your syllabus: constitutional bodies, statutory bodies and non-statutory bodies, their functions, the challenges which they are facing or the problems which they are facing, and then we'll also suggest some solutions to these challenges. Understood? Yes? No? Okay. Then the next part of your syllabus is elections. This is one important topic which many students neglect. There are subtopics within this topic of elections. One is Election Commission of India, functions, challenges and solutions, and then we'll also try to understand the electoral process in this country. What exactly is the process which is followed for conducting elections, whether it is your MP elections or MLA elections, what is the process that we follow in this country? What are the laws which guide this process of conducting elections? All of us know that there are some electoral laws, right? Apart from the Constitution of India and various articles dealing with elections within the Constitution, you also have laws related to elections. These are called electoral laws, not LOSs. There are some laws which guide the conduct of elections in this country. That is your Representation of the People Act 1950 and 1951, right? This is another subtopic within elections. First subtopic is Election Commission of India. Second subtopic is electoral laws. Okay? Election Commission of India, electoral laws, and what exactly do these laws say? These laws specifically talk about the voting rights of various citizens, who exactly can vote, who exactly should not vote. There are some criteria which determine whether you can vote in an election or not. Just because you are above 18 years old does not guarantee you the right to vote. For example, can a prisoner in a jail who is convicted of a crime, can he vote or not? Can NRIs vote? Can Indian origin people who have gained citizenship in another country, for example, your parents belong to India but you are living in United States and you have US citizenship, can you vote in Indian elections? Can an NRI vote in Indian elections? Can someone who is convicted of a crime vote in Indian elections? Right? So these are different provisions, or these are different topics within these electoral laws. Representation of the People Act 1950, and then you have another law called Representation of the People Act 1951. It speaks about the various qualifications and disqualifications which you must have, or various qualifications you must have in order to become an MP, various qualifications you must have in order to become an MLA. Can you be disqualified from Parliament, and what are the various disqualification criteria? All these are mentioned in these electoral laws. For example, one of the prominent politicians was suspended or was removed from Indian Parliament in the previous Lok Sabha. Right? What are the reasons behind it? Did he satisfy some disqualification criteria? What is the criteria which was used in order to disqualify him from Parliament? Are you following? Right? You would have definitely heard about giving and taking of money and liquor and so on and so forth during elections. right? Are there some provisions related to these within these electoral laws? Yes. Representation of the People Act 1951 deals with electoral malpractices, that is giving money or intimidating voters. These are all different malpractices or electoral offences which are mentioned in Representation of the People Act 1951, right? So these two particular acts of parliament specifically deal with elections related to voters or related to the candidates who are contesting in elections, related to electoral offences, related to qualifications, disqualifications, all these are mentioned in these electoral laws, right? So this is another subtopic within elections. Then the third subtopic within elections is electoral reforms. Can we say definitely, can we definitively say that elections are being conducted properly in this country? There is 100% no problem or issue with the way that we conduct elections in this country? We cannot 100% or definitively say it, because all of us do see that voters are being lured with money or liquor, or there are a lot of electoral offences which are being carried out during elections. People spend crores and crores of money, though there is limit to expenditure on the candidate who is contesting in elections. All of us know, it is common knowledge that they spend a lot of money during elections, right? So we are facing certain problems in the way that we conduct elections in this country, right? So what are the changes which we must make in order to protect the integrity of the elections in this country? What can we do to make it better? Right? These are electoral reforms. What can we do in order to make our elections better, in order to maintain or protect the integrity of elections, is what we will discuss in this subtopic of electoral reforms. Right? Again, here we will take the help of expert committees and commissions, including the Election Commission of India, which has suggested various reforms. Right? Election Commission of India itself has come forward and said that we need to undertake these reforms in order to improve the way that we function, in order to improve the way that we conduct elections in India. Right? So we will take the help of these committees' recommendations and we will try to analyze the issue. Following? Yes? Okay. Then the next part of your syllabus is, there are certain important acts of parliament which are related to polity. For example, Anti-Defection Law, Prevention of Corruption Act, RTI. All of you know all these acts? Prevention of Corruption Act, RTI, Anti-Defection Law, Representation of the People Act that we just discussed. These are certain important static parts of the syllabus in polity. Of course, every year Parliament keeps on passing new laws and some of them may be related to syllabus in polity, but these important acts are the next component of your syllabus. Your Anti-Defection Law, your Prevention of Corruption Act, your Representation of the People Act 1950, 1951, these are some of the important legislations or acts that we are going to discuss, right? You would have heard about Anti-Defection Law, right? If you win from one political party and jump into another political party after elections, what is that called? What is that called? You get elected from one party, but your party loses in the elections, you win, you jump from one party to the ruling party. Have you seen this happen? We have seen this happen in our own state. We have seen this happen in AP, Telangana, Maharashtra, Karnataka. No state is an exception to this. Yes or no? All of you would have heard about the way the political parties in Maharashtra split up. Now you have one name but two parties. NCP, Shiv Sena. Here BRS, Congress. In the previous elections, Congress MLAs would have won, but they would have jumped to BRS. BRS MLAs would have won this time, jumped to Congress. AP. There are so many defections which keep on happening every day in this country. In Karnataka also they have happened. right? So there is a specific law which deals with defections in this country, that is your anti-defection law. What exactly is it? What are the penalties or punishments which are prescribed for people who jump from one political party to another political party? How can we prevent this from happening, right? Why is it still happening? Yes, we have an anti-defection law, then why is it not properly functioning, or why is it not being properly implemented? Because we see defections happen even till today, right? Why is it not able to prevent defections? Now, what are the changes which must be done to this law in order to prevent defections from happening, right? This is another component or part of your syllabus. Following so far, some important acts and legislations is the next component. And then finally, you have the Indian Constitution itself. All of you know that Indian Constitution has various parts to it, right? There is part 1, part 2, so on and so forth. Various parts to the Constitution, various schedules to the Constitution. You've heard of the term schedules? Various articles to the Constitution, right? Now, what is the meaning of part? What is the meaning of an article? What is the meaning of a schedule? Are they all in the same book? What is the meaning of a preamble? Is preamble different from articles of the Constitution? Can we change Indian Constitution? What are the parts which can be changed? What are the articles which can be changed? What are the articles which cannot be changed? For example, can tomorrow Parliament say that we are going to entirely change the Constitution of India? Does it have the power to do that? Can it say that we are replacing Indian Constitution with some other constitution? Does it have unlimited powers to change the Constitution? What are the limits to its powers then? What are the articles which it cannot change? Where is it written that these articles can be changed and these articles cannot be changed? Is it written in the Constitution, or was it told by the Supreme Court? Right? So this entire issue of Indian Constitution, various parts to the Indian Constitution, various articles to the Indian Constitution, what are schedules, what does Schedule 1 say, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, so on and so forth, right? Now, can changes or amendments be made to the Indian Constitution? What are the limitations and the powers of Parliament to change the Constitution? Where are these limitations written? Was it told by the Supreme Court? Then in which case? What is the case of Supreme Court which deals with amendment of the Constitution? All these, let's not get into specifics now, because you may know but your friends may not know, right? So here what we are discussing is the Indian Constitution, various parts to it, the schedules of the Constitution, articles of the Constitution. When I am going to start a topic in the class, I will tell you what is the part of the Constitution which deals with this particular topic, what are the articles which deal with this particular topic, what are the important articles which you must remember in order to write your prelims or mains examination, and what are the various schedules which deal with that particular topic, right? Don't worry if you don't understand the difference now, it will become very clear to you later on, right? For example, you have Constitution, within Constitution you have various parts. The entire Constitution is divided into various parts. For example, if you pick up any book, the entire book does not constitute only one chapter, right? Within the book you will have various chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Similarly, the Constitution of India also has various parts, okay? Now, within each part there are articles. For example, part 1 may have articles from 1 to 5, so on and so forth, right? Each part will have certain specific number of articles, and each article will deal with one particular issue or topic. For example, Article 368, it may deal with the procedure to amend the Constitution. Article 1 may deal with the nature of Indian state, India, that is Bharat, is union of states, so on and so forth, right? So every single article will tell you something. Article 72 may tell you about something, Article 110 may tell you about money bill, so on and so forth. Every article will deal with some specific topic. And you do not have to remember all the 400 odd articles in your constitution. There are certain important articles which you must remember, yes, but you don't have to remember all the articles. I will tell you in the class which articles are important for your examination. Okay, so there is constitution, within the constitution you have various parts, each part will have certain articles, each article will deal with a specific topic. Okay, following so far? Then we will also discuss about various schedules of the Indian constitution. What exactly is the schedule, we will see later. Again, every schedule will tell you about something. And if you had gone through the prelims question paper 2024, you would have noticed that lot of questions did arise from this particular topic. For example, they have given, let us say, powers of panchayats or powers of municipalities. Which part of the constitution talks about powers of municipalities? Which part of the constitution talks about amendment procedure? Which part of the constitution talks about the procedure regarding a money bill? These were the questions which were asked in the examination in 2024. Right? So you do need to pay attention. These type of questions were not asked earlier, but this time the prelims questions in 2024 were a bit more factual. Right? They required you to remember articles of the constitution, parts of the constitution, and also the schedules of the constitution. Right? Understood so far? Okay. Then on top of all the static syllabus, in the class we will also try to look at the issues which are happening around us. There are a lot of issues which are happening which may be related to polity syllabus. For example, elections have happened in this country very recently to Lok Sabha. Right? And during Lok Sabha elections, you would have definitely read a lot of news about Lok Sabha elections in your papers. Right? Now, some of those issues may become important to you in your mains answers. You may have to mention those things in your mains answers in order to get good marks. It is not enough for you to just by heart one book and go and write mains answers. That will not fetch you good marks. Right? You should be aware of what is happening around you. Okay? So, it is very important that you read at least one newspaper every day. Don't make any notes now. It is not a wise use of your time to make notes from the newspapers yet, because you don't know what is important in the newspaper. Right? So, for now what you need to do is read a newspaper every day, but don't make any notes. Read the newspaper carefully. Whether you understand or don't understand is a different matter. Right? Because since you have not gone through the static syllabus, you may not understand the newspaper. Yes or no? Have you started reading newspapers? Yes? But you may not fully understand what is written. Right? But still make the habit of reading a newspaper so that you can use some of the issues in your mains answers. Okay? You may not realize it now, but if you read a newspaper continuously for a year, certain things will get imprinted on your mind. Right? Whenever you think about an issue, for example, whenever you think about elections, you would have definitely, you would be able to recollect that these are the issues which have happened during 17th Lok Sabha elections. Right? Certain things, certain issues will get imprinted on your mind, which becomes very useful in your mains answers. Okay? Even in your prelims examination, for example, a question was asked in Polity about women's reservation bill. If you had read newspapers last year, you would have definitely covered the topic. It is not given in your Lakshmikant book, but it would have been covered in the newspaper. That so and so bill was passed in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. We had heard about it also, women's reservation bill. But it is not enough for you to simply hear about it. You should also read about it. What are the finer details related to women's reservation bill? If you had gone through a newspaper, you would have been able to answer that question. Right? So, polity especially, it is important for you to read newspapers. For history, it may not be necessary. right? For geography also it may not be so necessary, but for polity and economy it is very important for you to follow newspapers, and also for your international relations, right? International relations, polity and economy, these are very dynamic topics for which you need newspaper. Don't make any notes now, just follow a newspaper. Once you are done with the syllabus, you can, of course there are a lot of compilations in the market, you can go through those compilations, right? But reading newspaper is non-negotiable. But don't take a lot of time, don't sit and read a newspaper for 4 and 5 hours. In the beginning it happens, but don't give a lot of time to newspapers, because there is a lot of syllabus to cover too, isn't it? If you sit and read a newspaper for 5 hours, then when will you finish the rest of your static syllabus, right? Give at max 1 hour, 1.5 hours to read a newspaper in the morning, come to class and then sit on your static syllabus. Don't take hours and hours and make notes from newspaper, that's of no use, because later you will not be able to revise it. Okay? Understood? Understood the syllabus of polity, what we are going to discuss going forward. We are essentially going to discuss Indian constitution, various parts of the constitution, various articles of the constitution. We will discuss about state, various organs of the state, their functions, their problems, various bodies, constitutional, non-constitutional. We will also discuss their functions and challenges which they are facing. We will discuss about union government, state government, what are their powers and functions, why are there conflicts between them, what are the reasons for these conflicts, what are the solutions to these problems, right? This is essentially your polity syllabus. On top of that, in your mains examination, you will definitely encounter lot of current affairs related questions, right? If they don't ask you directly, you should at least mention those current affairs related issues in your answers. Even if they ask you a static question, you should mention some current affairs related issues in your mains answers. Understood? Yes? No? Okay. Now let us come to the sources of polity. You have understood the syllabus, right? Next part is sources. You don't have to write this down. There is only one source for Indian polity, that is your Lakshmikant book. You don't have to go beyond it. Right? It covers all the static part, okay, and any analysis which is required I will tell you in the class. Indian polity, Lakshmikant book does not have analysis part. It gives you basic information, you will be able to understand all the basic information related to polity, but the analysis part is what I am going to tell you in the class. Okay, analysis part, please make notes in the class so that you can revise them later on. During the analysis itself, I will also mention certain current issues which are happening in the country. Okay? So, you will have to quote those issues in your mains answers. I will also tell you some judgments related to that particular issue. Again, you will have to quote them in your mains answers. I will also give you recommendations on some committees and commissions in the class itself related to that particular issue. Again, these will have to be quoted in your mains answers. Right? So, what are the 3 important things that you have to quote in your mains answers? Apart from the static part which will be covered by your Lakshmikant, you will have to quote some current affairs, right? Some current issues which have happened in the last 1 year. Second is various Supreme Court and High Court judgments related to that particular issue. Third is various committee recommendations which were made earlier. Sarkaria, Poochi, Law Commission reports, right? You don't have to sit and read all these commission reports, because that will take you, I don't know, 4 years or 5 years, I don't know, right? There are hundreds of law commission reports. There are so many election commission reports. You have Sarkaria, you have ARC reports. Each report again will have different volumes, right? Don't waste your time on all this. Any important recommendation which is made by the committee or commission will be told to you in the class. Please make a note of it. That can be used in your mains answers. Understood so far? So, the most important source for polity is Lakshmikant, which will be covered in the class, and also the analysis part and various important recommendations which will be told to you in the class, right? So, Indian polity by Lakshmikant, second is your class notes, third is your newspapers. Newspapers are for covering current issues. Don't simply rely only on compilations. There are a lot of compilations in the market, but compilations do not give you a perspective they don't give you a full picture. You will not be able to answer every question in your mains exam, right? If you don't understand the issue comprehensively, if you don't understand the whole picture, if they suddenly ask you a slightly complicated question, you will not be able to answer. Okay, so read newspapers properly for a comprehensive picture of various issues which are happening around you. Indian Polity by Lakshmikant, class notes, newspapers. That's it. You don't have to go beyond this. Okay, so for every subject, please remember that the resources for those subjects must be very limited. You cannot sit and read 100 different books. For example, for Polity, you don't need D.D. Basu or some other book. That's not needed. You're not giving PSI or optional, right? If you're not giving PSI or optional, all those books are not needed. For general studies, Polity, only Lakshmikant, class notes and newspapers. Understood? Right. So the next part of our class today is we'll go through the questions, polity questions which were asked in prelims 2024. Don't get disheartened if you don't understand those questions, or if you don't know the answers to those questions. Please don't worry, because we have not finished our syllabus yet. We have only just started, right? Once we are done with the syllabus, I am sure that you will be able to answer all the questions. Okay, so I'll read out some of the questions which were asked in prelims 2024. Most of the questions, as I told you, were factual in nature, and the answers to all these questions were available in your Lakshmikant book, except a few which required some common sense, right, or some general knowledge. Apart from that, most of the questions were, or the answers to those questions were available in your Lakshmikant book. Okay. So the first question was, who was the provisional president of the Constituent Assembly before Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over, right? This is available in your polity book. In the historical underpinnings and the evolution of Indian Constitution, in that part, you would have noticed or you would have found this question. Okay, let's not discuss the answers now since we don't have time. I'm just trying to explain to you the type of questions which are asked in this year prelims examination. This year prelims exam polity questions were different from the earlier examinations. Earlier examinations had more analytical questions. This time the questions are more factual in nature, apart from a few questions. Okay, so the first question is regarding the Constituent Assembly, who was the provisional president before Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over. In the very second chapter itself, you would find answer to this question. Second is regarding Government of India Act 1935. Again, this is in the very first chapter regarding historical underpinnings of Indian Constitution. As I told you, the very first topic is how did our constitution come into existence, what were some of the important historical events which have eventually led to Indian Constitution. In that we will discuss about various regulating acts, Pitt's India Act, various Government of India Acts 1919, 1935, 1909, right, and Indian Independence Act of 1947. All this will be discussed in the first chapter, right, and one of those important acts is Government of India Act 1935, about which a question was asked, right. This will have overlap with history also. In history also you will learn about various Government of India Acts and various legislations which were passed by British Parliament in order to control or regulate the British government in India. Okay. The next question is regarding Article 368. As per Article 368 of Indian Constitution, the Parliament may amend any provision of the Constitution by addition, variation, repeal. This is a very, very basic question regarding the procedure to amend the Constitution. Article 368 deals with the procedure to amend the Constitution. What is the meaning of the word amend? Sorry? Change. Changing any provision of the Constitution may constitute amendment of the Indian Constitution, but there is some nuance to it. There are some finer details to it which we will discuss later, but a question was asked regarding amendment procedure of the Indian Constitution or the procedure to change the Indian Constitution. This is a very, very basic question, right? And once we are done with the syllabus, of course, it will be very easy for you to answer, right? So, whatever we have discussed so far, whether it is regarding the Provisional President of Constituent Assembly, Government of India Act 1935 and then procedure to amend the Constitution. These are all part of your syllabus. Okay. Next is regarding money bill. Regarding money bill, right? What exactly is the meaning of a money bill? What is the procedure to pass a money bill? Is it different from an ordinary bill? Is budget a money bill? Right? Is finance bill a money bill? Who will decide whether a bill is a money bill or not? All this will be discussed in the chapter of Parliament, right? Again, this is a very, very basic question. Okay. Next is regarding Northeast Council. This is part of your federalism topic. Within federalism, we will discuss about interstate council and zonal councils, right? Interstate council and zonal councils are constituted in order to resolve issues between various states and union. For example, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka may have certain problems among each other, right? All of you know about Kaveri water issue. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh may have certain problems with each other, right? So, it may not just be about water. There are various issues between different states in the Indian Union. There are boundary disputes also. If you had read newspaper, there was one interesting article about one particular village on the border of Telangana and Maharashtra who have votes both in Maharashtra and Telangana because the boundary dispute is not resolved yet, right? So, the people in that village, they have ration cards from both the states, they have votes in both the states, they enjoy benefits of the government schemes in both the states. Why? Because the boundary dispute is not resolved. In that way, many of the constituent units of the Indian Union may have different types of problems with each other, whether it may be about water or it may be about boundaries, it may be about finances. There are various issues between them, right? Similarly, there are issues between union and states also, right? Karnataka may have some problem with the central government that it is not releasing funds, right? Andhra Pradesh may have certain problems with the union government, right? So, all these issues are discussed in these interstate councils and zonal councils, right? And Northeast Council, about which the question was asked, is also one of the councils for northeastern states in order to resolve issues between them and for a comprehensive development of northeastern region, which will cover in the federalism topic. Again, this is a very easy question, okay? I am not trying to say that the entire paper was very easy, just the polity questions were a bit on the easier side. It may not be the case next time, the questions may be incredibly difficult also next time, there is no guarantee, it is absolutely unpredictable. So, you have to go thoroughly prepared for both easy and difficult questions. Okay. Next is regarding delimitation commission. How many delimitation commissions have been constituted till December 2023? What is a delimitation commission? For example, all of you know that there are assembly constituencies and Lok Sabha constituencies. Yes, each constituency will elect one MLA or one MP. Yes, now who will determine the boundaries of these constituencies? Who will say that this is one constituency, this is another constituency, this is another constituency? Who will decide the boundaries of a constituency? Because a district is not equal to a constituency. A town is not equal to a constituency, right? Districts and towns are administrative units, whereas constituencies are electoral units. Yes or no? Are you following? Right? District has one boundary. This boundary may be different from an assembly constituency boundary. An assembly constituency boundary again will be different from a Lok Sabha constituency boundary. For example, I have vote in my native town, right? For example, I have vote in Jangam, but my assembly constituency is Jangam, but my Lok Sabha constituency may be Bongir, right? So, in this way, every constituency will have its own boundaries. Assembly constituencies, Lok Sabha constituencies, they have their own boundaries. Who will decide all these boundaries? It is commission called Delimitation Commission. Right? So this question was about Delimitation Commission. How many Delimitation Commissions have been constituted so far is the question which was asked. This will definitely be discussed in the class. It was discussed for the previous batch also and for you as well. Very interesting topic, because very soon you will again have a new Delimitation Commission, because the expiry period for freezing the constituencies is over. Again, topic which we will discuss in a finer detail later on in the class, right? This is again a medium question, medium level difficulty, not very easy, not very difficult. If you know the story, you would have definitely answered this question. It would have been very easy to you. If you don't know the story, then it may be difficult. Okay. Next is regarding 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. I told you that there are various schedules to Indian Constitution and each schedule will deal with a particular topic, right? Now 8th schedule will deal with languages. All of you know about 8th schedule languages, right? Telugu is part of it, Sanskrit is part of it, Hindi is part of it. There are various languages in 8th schedule, right? And some additions were also made after independence through various amendments to the constitution to 8th schedule. Initially there were 14 languages in 8th schedule, now there are 22 languages in 8th schedule, right? So almost 8 languages were added later on. Okay. Now this particular question is about 71st Amendment Act, which added 3 new languages to 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. So this is a factual topic, this is a factual question. If you remember, you remember. If you don't remember, you don't remember. Right? So this is a factual question. Next is regarding various political parties and their leaders. This is not given in the book. If you have some general knowledge, if you have curiosity about Indian politics, you would have answered this question. Otherwise, you might find it a bit difficult, right? Various political parties like Bharatiya Janata Sangh, Socialist Party, Congress for Democracy, Swatantra Party. Have you heard about these parties, political parties? Yes? Congress for Democracy is not the Congress party that you have now. Bharatiya Janata Sangh is not the BJP that you have now. These are different political parties, right? Have you heard about them? You will in your post-independent history. Post-independent history will give you details about all these political parties which have come up before emergency or after emergency. Okay, many of the political parties have come up after emergency. Initially, when India gained independence, both in the center and state, Congress governments were in power. Right? Jawaharlal Nehru, after that, so many Congress prime ministers, as well as in the states you had Congress governments, but slowly situation started changing. You had new political parties coming up, whether it is regional political parties like TDP or TRS, and you also had political parties in Tamil Nadu like DMK, AIDMK, right? Lot of regional parties started coming up. And in the post-emergency era, 1975 emergency, I am specifically talking about 1975 emergency, which was especially controversial. Lot of protests and agitations have happened in this country, and in the course of those protests and agitations, new political parties have come up, right? And then later on you had Mandal agitations which are related to OBC reservation. During Mandal agitations also new political parties have come up, especially in northern Indian states such as UP and Bihar, right? So at different points of time, different political parties have come up, which you will learn about in your post-independent history. So if you have a bit of general knowledge, you will be able to answer this question. Okay. Next is about parts of Indian Constitution, Part 9A, Part 18 and Part 20. We had discussed just now, right? The Indian Constitution has various parts to it. Each part will discuss about or deal with one particular topic, right? For example, Part 3 will deal with fundamental rights. Part 4 will deal with directive principles of state policy. Part 5 with union, not government. It will also have topics related to judiciary and legislature, right? So part 5 will deal with union affairs, part 6 will deal with state affairs, right? So every part of the Indian constitution will deal with a particular topic. Within each part there are articles. This particular question is about part 9a, part 18 and part 20. Again a factual question, right? And this was discussed in the class earlier. Very easy question to answer. If you had revised the book at least 2 or 3 times, you will be able to answer this question. Okay. Next is about union list, state list and concurrent list. Again, you don't have to remember each and every topic within union list, within state list, within concurrent list. Now you may not even know what is a union list and what is a state list, but this is a very commonsensical question. Even if you don't remember the exact details of union list and state list, you would have definitely be able to answer this question. Again, when we are discussing this particular topic, I will tell you how to answer this question also, right? So what we'll do is, when I deal with the various topics in the class, what are the questions which came up from that particular topic in prelims 2024, we'll try to answer those questions, okay? Next is about articles in the constitution and some Supreme Court judgments related to it. This was an important topic which was in news for almost last 3 or 4 years. 3 years ago, an important Supreme Court judgment came up related to right to privacy. I had discussed this in the class earlier. I'll discuss it in your class also. This is a factual topic again, and it would have hardly taken 10 or 15 seconds for serious students to answer this question, right? A moderate question, in fact an easy question for those who have prepared thoroughly, okay? This is about articles in the constitution related to fundamental rights. Under which of the following articles of the Constitution of India has the Supreme Court of India placed right to privacy? Okay, Article 15, 16, 19, 21, 4 options are given. Very, very easy question related to fundamental rights. Okay, next is related to Chief of Defence Staff. This is current affairs related question. Chief of Defence Staff has been in news for the past 8 years. Okay, since 2016 discussions have been happening regarding Chief of Defence Staff. So a question was asked related to that. A very easy question again. This would have been covered in current affairs. This will not be covered in your basic Lakshmikant book. This would have been covered in your current affairs. Okay. Next is related to ethics committee in Lok Sabha. This was asked because ethics committee was in news last year. So see, not just static questions, you will find current affairs related questions also in prelims from Polity, right? Ethics committee in Lok Sabha was in news because, anyone, can you answer that question? Why was ethics committee in Lok Sabha in news? Did you follow news last year? Yes? Anyone from the online students? Can any one of you tell me why ethics committee was in news last year? No? So one TMC MP was suspended from Parliament because of certain reasons. Go back and look at that issue. TMC, all of you know what TMC is? Trinamool Congress from West Bengal. Not Rahul Gandhi issue. There is an issue related to one TMC MP. Go back and look at that issue. Ethics committee was involved in that issue, which is why a question is asked. Right? So current affairs questions also will appear from Polity in your prelims examination. Pay close attention to newspaper. If you had read newspaper, you would have definitely covered this question. Okay, next is regarding Women's Reservation Bill. Again, question related to current affairs in Polity. Okay. So these two questions, ethics committee and Women's Reservation Bill, these are current affairs related questions in Polity. All the other questions that we have discussed so far are static questions. Okay, what is the meaning of a static question? Static syllabus, static question, what is the meaning of this? This is UPSC lingo which is used these days. Static in the sense doesn't change. There is a part of syllabus which must be read and it doesn't change, nothing new to it, right? Whereas your dynamic questions are those where new issues keep on happening and you have to keep track of those issues, right? So dynamic or current affairs questions are also asked in your polity prelims exam. Next is regarding writ of prohibition. Again, this is related to fundamental rights. Very easy question, direct question, right? Next is related to the scheduled tribes. Who declares a particular tribe to be a scheduled tribe? Who has the power to declare scheduled tribes in this country? You know that there is a list of scheduled tribes in this country, right? Now, who declares those scheduled tribes? Who has the power to declare scheduled tribes in this country? And I'm sure all of you know that if you are a scheduled tribe in this state, you may not be a scheduled tribe in the next state, right? So this is the question which was asked. You already know the answer to it also, but the first statement you would have not known the answer. This is a very direct question. There is a topic called the 5th and 6th schedule of Indian Constitution. There we'll discuss about scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and scheduled areas. We'll also discuss about tribal areas in northeastern region. This will be covered in your 5th and 6th schedule. Okay. Next is related to union budget. Again, a very direct question. That is static part of your syllabus. Then there are questions related to Indian Parliament, the Speaker, as well as the President of India. I told you, right, there are various organs to the state. You have executive, legislature and judiciary. Within executive, we'll discuss about President and his functions. Within legislature, we'll discuss about Speaker and we'll also discuss about Indian Parliament. Okay, so 3 questions from Union or Union Affairs. Okay, so there are no questions this time from the state affairs except for one statement related to governor. This time, polity questions in prelims were easy and factual. If you had prepared properly, you would have answered all the questions. You would have scored 34 to 35 marks, 34 or 36 marks directly from your polity itself. Okay. Now, we'll discuss all these questions once again once we finish a topic. Because now you may not be able to understand whether the question is easy or difficult. You may not be able to gauge the level of difficulty of the question since you have not finished syllabus. Once we finish a topic, we'll also discuss these questions in the class and we'll also discuss the answers to these questions then. Okay, understood so far? Now, what you have to do is buy Lakshmikant book and also buy previous year questions compilations for prelims and for mains. Whichever publication you may choose, doesn't matter. You buy previous year prelims compilations and previous year mains questions compilations, 2 different books. The prelims one will be bulky, the mains one will be slightly thinner. If you have chosen your optional, buy previous year compilation for optional also. Keep those books ready. And whenever you are reading anything, whenever you finish any topic, the first thing that you have to do is go to previous year questions and try to look at the questions from that particular topic, whether it is prelims or mains. Okay, understood so far? Any doubts so far? This is a demo class, right? It cannot be a monologue. If you have any questions, you should ask me now. There is a question from one of the online students. If current affairs must be followed right away, if they should start reading current affairs right away. There is nothing called current affairs. Right? Don't assume that there is one single book called current affairs and if you read that you would cover everything related to current affairs. That's not possible. What I'm asking you to do is to read newspaper. Don't make notes now, right? Don't make notes now. The objective is not to make notes. Whenever you read something, what is the goal? What is the objective? Tell me, whenever you read a book or whenever you read the newspaper, what is the goal that you have on your mind?
To understand the content.
Exactly, right? The goal should be to understand what is written. The goal should not be that you should make some notes. This you must keep in mind. Try to understand what is happening around you. Don't think that unless you finish the entire syllabus, you will not be able to understand current affairs. That is not how you go about a UPSC exam. Keep on reading, be curious, keep on reading. If you go with a very rigid mindset that these are the books that I will read, this is something that I will read. If you go with a very rigid mindset, your answers will also be like that, very mechanical. Your answers should not be mechanical. Okay? So be curious about what is happening around you. Don't think of this exam as a formula or a mix of ingredients. That's not how this exam works. Be curious about what is happening around you. Don't think that you will only start reading current affairs after you finish the syllabus, because your syllabus will never be over. Please keep that in mind. Your syllabus will never be over. Even if you are giving 5th attempt or 6th attempt or 4th attempt or 3rd attempt, there will still be syllabus left to do, left to cover, left to revise, left to make notes. That will always be there. Okay? So simultaneously keep reading newspaper, simultaneously know about current issues, and we'll also discuss in the class. That's not a problem. Any other questions? It may not be related to subject, may not be related to polity, but of course related to the exam. No questions from the online students? What will you do after you go back today? What will you do after you go back? Take a printout of UPSC syllabus. First thing you must do, take a printout of UPSC syllabus, go through the syllabus properly, buy previous year question compilations, keep them ready with you. For polity, Lakshmikant is enough, and start reading newspapers.
7th edition. 7th edition.
Any edition, yeah, the latest edition would be better, because certain changes have happened, certain changes took place in the last few years, right? So the latest edition would be better, of course. Anything else?
Is there any tips for
Tips for?
civil science?
There is no shortcut, there are no tips. That will become clear to you as you move forward with your preparation. You will understand what are the things which you must focus on, what are the things where you are wasting your time. For example, a lot of students spend hours and hours making notes from the newspapers. Again, that's a waste of time, because what happens is when you start your preparation, for example, like you have started your preparation just now, right? And you are reading newspapers and you are trying to make notes from newspapers. What you will do essentially is you will simply copy everything in the article in your notebook. That is what is going to happen now, because I know I have been through that process, right? Here I am trying to guide you. Of course, I made some mistakes, but what tends to happen is that you simply reproduce everything from the newspaper in your answer book. Instead of writing certain important points from the article, since you don't know which points are important, which points will become useful to you in your mains exam, you will simply try to copy paste everything in your notebook. And that will take 5 to 6 hours. And you will not have time to finish your basic sources, right? So don't do that. Just read newspaper, understand what is written, and go through your basic books properly. The first goal that you must have is to understand every single topic in the syllabus. NCERTs are important. For polity, whatever is there in the NCERT is also covered in the Lakshmikant book, right? And if anything is not covered, I will tell you in the class. For example, Lakshmikant may not have the meaning of the word constitution, but NCERT deals with the meaning of the word constitution. What are the functions of a constitution? Why should we have constitution? All this will be dealt in the class. For certain subjects, NCERTs may be important, very important. For example, geography. For geography, NCERTs are very important. That is the end. 6th to 12th NCERTs, you must be very thorough in geography. because most of the questions will come from NCERTs in geography. There is no book like Lakshmikant for geography. Of course, I may not know, your geography faculty will tell you, but most of the students do follow NCERTs for geography, whereas for polity, Lakshmikant book is important. It is comprehensive, it will cover every part of your syllabus. Which articles you must remember, I will tell you in the class. You don't have to exactly by heart what is there in the constitution, but you should have a brief idea about important articles in the constitution and what they say.
Which subject is easy for the optional without any background?
You should meet me after class. I have to understand the educational background that you have and also your aptitude. What are the subjects which interest you? You don't have to get disheartened that you are from science background. Most of the students who are giving this examination are from science or engineering background. That's not an issue. Don't go by popularity of a subject. Try to go through the syllabus of different optionals. You would have definitely shortlisted some 4 or 5 optionals, right? Yes, at least 4 or 5 optionals you would have shortlisted. Go through the syllabus of those optionals. See which optional syllabus you are able to understand. Okay, there is no easy or difficult optional in my opinion. If you had shortlisted social science optionals, then probably public administration, PSIR, anthropology, sociology, what else? History, geography, right? These are some of the basic optionals that you have. If you are someone who can remember a lot of information, then probably history is the right optional for you. If you have some science bent of mind, then geography may be a good optional for you. If you are tired of science and you want a completely new subject, then probably sociology or political science may be a good optional for you. Law is a very technical subject. Unless you have background in it, it may be difficult for you to understand. It's a technical subject. Unless you have done BA, LLB or LLB, I would not suggest law optional unless you are very adventurous. Certain subjects are technical subjects, right? Civil engineering, for example. A history student or some normal science student cannot read and understand civil engineering, right? So certain technical subjects must be left for those who have background in those subjects. Accountancy, for example. I may not be able to understand accountancy, but there are certain general optionals which everybody will be able to understand, like PSIR, sociology, anthropology, public administration, geography, history. These are basic subjects which you will learn about in your general studies papers also. Optionals may be a more in-depth analysis of all these topics, but basics you will be able to understand in all these subjects. So these are general optionals which many of the students take. It's better that you decide what your optional is as soon as possible and stick to it. Don't keep on changing your optionals, stick to an optional. Once you decide, you stick to it, because no optional is better or worse. Every optional you will be able to score around the same marks if you prepare well. Okay?
Easy to score.
There is no subject which is easy to score. I don't know. There is no subject which is easy to score. You are asking for optionals? No. There is no subject which is easy to score. Every subject will have similar length or amount of syllabus. Just the type of topics may vary. You understand, right? In history, what do you have to read? You have to remember and read lot of information. Yes or no? Whereas geography will be different. Geography will be more analytical. Right? Sociology and political science, these are similar subjects. You will have to learn about lot of thinkers, what they have said about various social issues, various political issues. These are things which you will learn in political science and sociology. Right? Anthropology, again, you have to remember some information. Go through the syllabus. What I suggest is, if you have shortlisted some 4 or 5 subjects, go through the syllabus of those subjects. At least go through some YouTube videos about those subjects. You will understand what the syllabus is about. Based on that, you take a call. Based on your aptitude, if you are someone who can remember a lot of information, if you are someone who is interested about political issues, social issues, international issues, right? Based on your aptitude as well as your understanding of the syllabus, you can decide an option. Don't go for technical optionals unless you have educational background in them, whereas these general optionals which I have just mentioned, anybody will be able to score well in these optionals. Someone asked how to sit and study continuously for hours. What I would like to tell you is that it may be difficult in the beginning. What happens is that in our undergraduation, we don't study for long hours. We would have studied for long hours in our intermediate, right? They would have made you sit from morning 6 o'clock to night 9 o'clock, right? So we have lost that habit of sitting for long hours and studying. It's a very important habit, whether you are giving UPSC or Group 1 examination or you are in private sector. It is important for you to learn how to focus, how to sit patiently and focus on a particular thing for long hours. I can say definitely that your preparation, your UPSC preparation will help you not only for this examination, but for any other thing that you want to do in your life. The ability to focus on something for long hours, keeping away the distractions, is very important. That skill is very important to learn. In the beginning, yes, it will be difficult. You will only be able to sit for 3 hours, you will only be able to sit for 4 hours. But if you maintain that consistency, if you are persistent with it, you will obviously improve. You will be able to sit for 7 hours, 8 hours. Of course, no one can sit for 8 hours at a stretch and read. That's not possible, right? All of us take breaks in between, right? But the focus has to be the exam. Okay, that thing should keep on running in your mind, that how can I improve, how can I give this exam better, how can I answer these questions better. If not read, at least think about the exam. You must constantly think about this exam, only then you will be able to clear, right? It's not a mechanical thing that you will sit in front of a book for 3 hours, read, close the book. That's not how it works, right? Books are for reading and understanding, that is fine. But there is a separate thing called exam. Just because you read a book and understand a book does not mean that you will do well in the exam. You should also think about the examination. How to improve your examination skills is something which is very important. Because there are very intelligent people who may not clear this examination. Because they are not able to address the demand of the examination properly. Right? So not only the syllabus, you should also think about the examination. That must constantly keep running on your mind. That happens with time. You cannot rush it. In the beginning you may find it difficult, but trust me, after 3 or 4 months, if you maintain that vigor and effort for 3 months, it becomes easier to sit and study for long hours, and you will automatically think about the exam. If you are passionate about clearing this examination, you will automatically think about it. You don't have to force yourself. That's it. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's wind up the class for today. I hope there are no other questions. Right. So let's wind up the class for today. From our next session, we'll start with the individual topics. We'll try to cover syllabus as soon as possible. Right. Thank you.